Hello and welcome back to the fourth event of the 2018 Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship, fueled by Petron. My name is Aaron Thompson and we're going to get to all of the action in race 3 in just a moment, but before then, let's have a quick walk down the pit lane, see who we can talk to.
Well, as you can see, it's very hot here, bright sun, so the track temps are going to be very high. Drivers are going to have to be careful on how they put their brake bias. The more forward they put it, the more understeer they'll have. So in these hot conditions, we can expect some oversteer. Maybe they'll be moving it forward to compensate for that. Let's see in the race.
Thank you very much for that information. Now let's get up to race control so we can watch the final race of the weekend. You see the drivers taking their positions on the grid, and before we get underway, let's have a run through the starting positions. In first place, we have Musyaffa alongside Chetan Corrado. Second row in the grid, Rio Kamikado, Aiden Wright. Third row, Kane Shepherd, Luke Thompson. Then Alessandro Giretti, Anton Potti, and Alistair Young come along at the back. Alistair had a great race last race, but from the back, I'm not sure what he can do, and maybe his compatriot Musyaffa will shine this race. And perhaps that's exactly what he's doing as he gets underway with a great start. Chetan going to the outside, looking to block some other drivers, and Mui is just taking it through turn 1 with no real problems. There's Alessandro Giretti around the outside of Aiden Wright, though he's running into traffic. Kane Shepherd just ahead of him, going off there slightly.
Kane goes around the outside in turn 2 and up into second place, I believe. Musyaffa has got a good lead now.
So we should see Kane's blue car on your screens. Yep, there we go. Sandy is right. Number 3, just bringing us through the kink. A little bit of a collision there between 77 and 46. That's Chetan and Rio. Rio having a good start as well. Now just behind him, Alessandro Giretti. So he got past Aiden Wright. Car number 7, the purple car just behind him. Yellow on your screens. Is that Alistair Young? Yep, that's Alistair Young. He's made up some positions. He's just behind Aiden Wright. And there, Rio Kamikado, car number 46, just ahead of the blue car 28. That's Alessandro Giretti. And Alessandro, now he's going to have to chase down Kane Shepherd. This is vital, side by side through 7. That's what we like to see. Coming out, pushed a little bit wide there. We saw that happen last weekend with Luke Thompson and Alessandro Giretti as well. But at the front of your grid, you've got Musyaffa and Kane Shepherd, and they're already starting to walk away a little bit. But Alessandro Giretti, as he does, he's up into P3 already, not even been a lap. And Alistair Young had a good start, as we saw, a fantastic start in the last race. And he's already, looks like he's in P6 now. Yep, that would be P6.
Nice jostling for position here in the opening lap.
You can see Alistair there taking us around turn 10 up into turn 11. Turn 11, one of the places we haven't seen any overtaking yet, but that's Aiden Wright. Looks like he might be trying to do something through turn 12. Don't know if he can make that move, though. And Musyaffa, there we go, he takes us around. 14 laps to go. Car number 46, just ahead of car number 7, Aiden Wright. Can Aiden make a move here against the Japanese driver? Maybe not.
Might be trying to set up.
Oh, Alistair Young, very wide there by Alistair Young. He's off in the gravel, there's a big pile of smoke. Did he rejoin? Yes, he did. And it looks like he's somehow in front of Aiden Wright. Was that a purple car I saw? No, it's Luke Thompson's
Rio
pink
goes
car.
wide again. Aiden gets the place up.
There you go, Aiden Wright, Australia up on Japan, coming through the kink. Now Luke Thompson's going to have to hunt down car number 46. 2 pink cars going after each other. Back up the front of the grid, you can see Muiz just leaving the top of your screens there, still happily in first place, while everybody down the grid is battling for position. Now here, this is Anton Potti and Alistair Young. So Anton, great race last race, ended up finishing, where did Anton finish? He was second, wasn't he? No, he was third. Yeah, Anton was third, just behind Alessandro in the last race, and there was Kane in fourth, so he had a very good race. And hopefully he'll be back up on the podium this race, but it's not going to be easy from that far down the grid.
Yeah, it looks like he didn't get the best of starts, didn't make up many positions, so he'll really have to work and try to pick off the drivers as he picks his way up the field.
Of course, because of the way F4 works, race 3 is a reverse grid based on the finishing positions from race 2, which means Anton started second last because he finished second. So he's got to fight if he wants to be on the podium.
Yes.
But that just makes it more interesting from us and everybody watching at home. And across the start-finish straight comes Musyaffa, Kane Shepherd, and now Alessandro Giretti. 1, 2, 3. Malaysia, Thailand, France. Much like it was in the last race, the last event.
Very similar.
You see Alistair Young there right up beside Luke Thompson looking down the inside, but he did run wide through turn 1 on the last lap, so that might not be close enough this lap to make anything happen. And of course, Muiz back at the front of the grid, leading us through the kink ahead of Kane Shepherd and Alessandro Giretti. Kane not having the best of weekends this weekend. Hopefully, he can finish with a strong finish.
Yeah, definitely. To keep his championship hopes alive, he'll need a good position and preferably in front of the dominant Frenchman that we've seen all weekend.
So coming around turn 5 now, we've seen lots of action at turn 5 and turn 4, and even indeed at turn 7. But Luke Thompson there behind Rio Comicado, not quite close enough to make anything happen this race. Rio actually having a very good race. He's managed to keep his position. He's P4 or P5 at the moment. Hopefully he can finish strong.
Yeah, definitely a change of form. Seems he's found some pace now, and he's actually looking very racy, keeping cars behind him, maybe even catching up to Aiden Wright.
So at the last lap, Alessandro Giretti was 3.682 seconds behind the race leader, but he set the fastest lap of the race so far, 1:38.5. That's a tenth, almost 2/10 faster than Musyaffa, and almost 3/10 faster than Kane Shepherd. So here we go, Muiz again. This is now 13 laps to go, I believe. 12 laps, sorry, Sandy. Thank you very much for correcting me. And coming through turn 1, we have Kane Shepherd now on your screens, the blue number 3 car. Coming from Thailand, of course, Kane Shepherd is the rookie champion. As we always say, he's back this year trying to win everything overall. Not so lucky this weekend, and it looks like Alessandro might be on top of him with the points at the moment, but hopefully Kane can persevere in this second position, maybe get back on first, and see how he can salvage his championship going forwards.
Yep, absolutely, and it's nice to keep in mind that the next round will be Kane's home round in Buriram, Thailand, so maybe he's looking forward to that, try to regain some points again.
That's an excellent point, Sandy. As we know, Kane Shepherd's a very experienced hand. He's got 3 or 4 events in Buriram circuit under his belt already, so we'll be back to a situation like we were in Sepang last event, where Kane knows the track and Alessandro Giretti doesn't, so it's going to work in his favor.
Definitely, so he'll be looking for every advantage now as we see Alessandro Giretti, the young Frenchman, closing in on Kane Shepherd.
But I want to know what's happening to Anton Posse and Alistair Young at the back of the grid, because we know that these are very equal drivers and they're battling it out now, indeed for positions probably in the Rookie Championship and the Rookie Event Championship. So it'll be very interesting to see where these two drivers finish.
Yes, very interesting indeed. Also, Alistair is definitely feeling good after that victory in race 2, so let's see him try to convert it into another good result in
But
race
back
3.
at the front of the grid now, we have the yellow car number 23 still in the lead, and Alessandro Giretti closing in on Kane Shepherd ahead of him, which means Muiz is going to have a little bit of time to relax while the two drivers behind him battle it out. So hopefully the Malaysian driver will make it a two-race victory for Malaysia and he can use this battle between Alessandro and Kane to his advantage.
Yep, I think he'll definitely plan to do that. Try to extend as much lead as he can while those two battle it out for second position behind him.
So on the last lap, Alessandro Giretti, he set the fastest lap, but this time around, it's Musyaffa who set the fastest lap of the race. He's doing a 1:38.1, which is, it's 1/10 faster than Alessandro's last lap.
Yeah, very impressive lap time, considering how old these tires are now.
6/10 faster than Kane on the last race, on the last lap, I should say.
Yeah, it looks like Kane is just starting to look in his mirrors a bit more, starting to be wary of the Frenchman closing in on him. Now it looks like he's going to set up a move into turn 8 with the slipstream. Let's see if he goes for it. Kane very defensive here. Goes to the outside, but could be difficult to overtake here.
Kane, an experienced hand, he's got to know all the tricks in the book about blocking drivers, but there's an interesting rule, Sandy. You're only allowed to make one defensive move as the driver ahead before you return to the racing line, is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. And you're allowed to make one move, and then I believe you're allowed to come back, but you have to leave at least one car length, car
on the
width,
racing line.
yeah, to the other driver.
So we'll see what happens in a moment between Kane and Alessandro coming down turn 1. We know from Kane that this is where he thinks all the action is going to happen between him and Alessandro, turn 1, turn 2. And at the moment he does seem to be far enough ahead that he doesn't have to worry so much, but Alessandro is closing in, and we know he's probably one of the fastest drivers. Well, he's definitely one of the fastest drivers, maybe the fastest driver around this track. And you can see how close he is, and you can see how much speed he carries now coming up through the kink. And as you've said before, Sandy, this is where the slipstream effect really comes in,
Yep.
and you can just coming out of sector
now.
1. See a move here now around the outside of turn 4. Of course, that sets him up for the inside line through turn 5.
See if he tries to hold it round. He thinks better of it this time, but Kane goes a bit wide.
A little bit wide there.
Set him up well for 6. Maybe Alessandro will try and move into turn 7.
Alessandro is really fast through turn 7. We saw him gain a lot of time on Alistair Young in the last race, and we've seen him do side-by-side overtakes there as well, so it'd be brilliant to see it happen again.
Yeah, and I think it's the first time this weekend that we're seeing these two blue cars actually have their own battle without being interfered on the first lap. Because normally we've seen Alessandro just make the move on Kane in the first opening laps, just when they're fighting traffic, trying to get back to their normal positions, I'll say. But now it's just mano a mano, it's just the two of them. Let's see who will come out on top.
I think you're right, Sandy. Of course, it's interesting to see the battle between the two drivers evolve as we travel deeper into the championship and visit new circuits. But up the head of the grid, that's got to be a very happy yellow car there. Look how far he is away from the drivers behind him.
Yeah, here
there we go. Second and third just crossed the line there. That's what, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds now?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
You can easily see how much two battling cars waste each other's time. So Moise is practically running away with this race at the moment.
So this seems to be Muise's gift or Muise's curse. A move here between Alistair Young and Anton Potty, side by side through turn 1. Very nice.
Loses the rear
bit
a
of
bit.
oversteer there.
Yeah. Just off the racing line, I think, and it gets very, very slippery here.
Alessandro not quite as close as he was last lap. Takes a little look, but decides against it.
Oh.
It's interesting to watch as these drivers evolve, and maybe 2 or 3 events ago, Alessandro might have tried something there, but now he's evolved. He knows he's got a better strategy to things, especially here in Majas, where we've seen his qualifying strategy to be extremely successful.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we can see how he's maturing as a driver and improving himself by
so just to illustrate your point about this battle, the effect it's having, at the moment Musyaffa doing a 1:38.1, his personal best, and Kane Shepherd's doing a 1:40 at the moment. So that really tells you exactly what Sandy's talking about a moment ago, how much defensive driving affects your line and affects your overall time.
Yeah, definitely. So they're both slowing each other down a lot now, and I think this is more about who's going to finish in front rather than the actual position itself. But it should be a great battle for second place.
There we go, a Malaysian yellow car, the head of the grid for the second time this weekend. Very wide there by Alessandro Giretti, trying to carry a little bit more speed through turn 1. He's going to make a move, looks for it, not quite. But maybe he can try something through turn 3 maybe.
Would be. Maybe with a good run out of 2 he could, but I think he'll save the slipstream for turn 4.
So now bit of a gap there between Alistair Young and Anton Potty.
He has made the move.
He made the move through turn 3. That's brilliant.
Somehow he's made the move already.
We must have just missed that because you're right. That's number 28, just ahead of Kane Shepherd. So Kane, I don't know if it's us talking about him, we're giving him the commentator's curse or what the problem is, but he's having a really unfortunate weekend this weekend.
Yeah, he's definitely struggling for pace this weekend. And
but as you said, Sandy, he's definitely improving from his times last week. He's just unlucky.
Yeah, unlucky, and there is some things on the data that need to be worked on, but overall his driving has been very good, almost faultless I would say, but just not up to the pace of the Frenchman.
As you said, Sandy, he is an extremely consistent driver. For example, last week we know he did second, as he likes to say, and so obviously he's got the pace, it's just struggling a little bit at this track maybe. But anyway, at the head of the grid now, we've got Moise Musyaffa, as we know, and Alessandro Giretti, he's going to have to start reining in the Malaysian driver, and we've got a bit of a repeat of what happened in the last race. We've got France trying to chase down Malaysia, and hopefully, like the last race, it'll come down to the checkered flag. And I think outside the board, is that 7 laps to go? Yep. We see 7 laps being displayed at the start-finish straight. There it is on your screen. So 7 laps to go, and Alessandro's got to make up, 6 seconds? 1 second a lap. I don't know if even Alessandro can manage that.
Would be quite an impressive feat if he managed to do that, but, well, let's see. I don't want to talk too soon.
6 seconds doesn't sound a lot, but that picture right there really illustrates what it means. And And I don't know how Alessandro could possibly finish in first place unless something very unfortunate happens. But let's see what comes at the end of the race, and hopefully we'll have some more action further down the grid. I saw that Anton Potty a few laps ago has already got a bit of a lead in front of Alistair Young. He's trying to chase down Luke Thompson, car number 42. And, you know, we're going to have some action there in a few minutes, and, you know, there's going to be other people overtaking as well. Unfortunately, I've just seen on our timing screens, I got some bad news for one of the drivers, car number 77, the orange car, in position, I'm not sure what position he's in right now, but he's got a false start. He's got a false start penalty there from the stewards, and that looks like it's going to be probably a 30-second penalty, like it was in the last race.
Yeah, most likely. This is for the new driver, Chetan Korada. This being his first race in F4SEA, he's just taking it to learn the ropes, learn these cars. Although he knows this circuit very well, still driving these cars is a very different driving style.
Yeah, as we said before, Cheating an experienced hand at the Madras Motor Race track. He's, of course, competed in the MRF Championships, the 1600, and I think the 2000 as well, so he knows the track well, but these F4 cars, they're brand new. They're just off the production line last year or the year before even, and with the paddle shift technology and the different aero and especially the floor, it's not something that a lot of people realize, but the floor is completely different, completely revamped, and it really does change the handling characteristics of the car.
Yeah, definitely. We could say the F4 is a much more modern car. You can actually, if you look closely on the side part, you can see how much floor there is, which is, it's a very contemporary design. You see it in a lot of the larger Formula cars up until F1. So they use the floor to maximize the downforce. And on this level, they use the floor just to introduce drivers coming from go-karts or smaller formulas into this new downforce, which is a bit different from what they may be used to.
That's an interesting question you bring up, Sandy. As we know, most of our drivers are coming straight out of karting. So what is the biggest challenge for a karter? I've heard some drivers say in go-karting it's mostly forearm strength, turning the wheel and dealing with the force the kart exerts, whereas in a Formula car it's all upper body strength. What would you say is the biggest challenge for a new driver?
Yeah, well, definitely the physical side.
Sorry, just to interrupt you, Sandy. Look at that gap now between Kane and Alessandro already.
You can see in fresh air, Alessandro just has the legs and he can pull away.
You're completely right. He just said a 137.9 or a 137.9 breaking into the 137s, the only man to do so since qualifying, I believe.
Yeah, very impressive. When you think that these tires are nearly 3 race old, plus the qualifying, they're setting absolutely amazing times for how much mileage they are.
Of course, the track is a little bit cooler as well now, so that's probably playing a factor.
Yeah, definitely makes a difference. Track condition here, I think we saw earlier in the day, was up to 65 degrees track temp. Ambient temps of over 40.
Oh, Anton Potty ahead of 46. And does that mean he's also taken 42 as well? Luke Thompson hasn't been updated on our timing screens yet. Let's try and refresh that. But it did. Oh, somebody's off there. Looks like Alistair Young or maybe Luke Thompson, the pink car. So it does look like Anton Potty's up ahead of Thompson. Yeah, he is. He's just behind Kane Shepard now, is he?
Must be.
Must be, because he was behind Rio Kamikado. He's in front of Rio Kamikado, and our timing screens reflect that. So that's brilliant news for the Belgian driver up into P4. I wonder what that does for the Rookie Event Championship.
Oh, great driving to come up from the back of the grid, make it all the way up to 4th right now. Let's see if he can close the gap to Kane Shepard. He looks quite far. Yeah, he's quite far considering we only have 4 more laps to go in this race.
Well, I don't know if he did a 1 or 2 second a lap faster time. But having said that, 1 or 2 laps left to go. Let's check that for you. Actually, we've got 5 laps, I think, or maybe, sorry, that's out of date. 4 laps to go at the end of this. So, yeah, you're right. He probably can't catch up, but still a P4 finish from the back of the grid is very impressive.
Yeah, and the rookie podium as well.
Yeah, of course, that's a good point. But up at the front of your grid, you can see Muiz there wrestling the car around turn 1. A lot of hand movement, and we've seen it from most of the drivers. And Sandy, I think you told Sport it's a little bit bumpy there, so the drivers are just tuning it into the frequency.
Yeah, definitely. The bumpiness of this track definitely makes the drivers work a bit harder. They have to counter steer a little bit, you know, just to compensate for all those bumps. But it presents a new challenge to the drivers.
And it's a very interesting track, and it's a beautiful track as well. I've been around it on one of the scooters. It's great fun to drive around, and with the weather you get here and the beautiful open sky, it's really quite picturesque. And of course, the layout, the design is great. Unlike some of the bigger circuits like Sepang, where everything is quite far away from each other. In Madras, you're about 100 meters away from race control when you're in your pit lane, which is very convenient.
Yeah, very convenient, but hopefully none of the drivers need to go see the stewards. But
so we can see Kane Shepherd there coming down through, braking after the 50-meter mark, as we know from Sandy. And that's up now through turn 8 and 9. And Moise here coming down through 9B, leading us into the sweeping left-hander of turn 10 before he turns right up over the bridge and brings us around to finish the... Oh, no, bad news for Anton Patti. He was up ahead of Luke Thompson and Rio Komikado in 4th position, and now he's dropped back behind Thompson. That looked like turn 7 to me, maybe. And that's just terrible news. Oh, he's going to be very upset. As you said, he had the rookie podium. And now, of course, as well, that's going to make an effect to the rookie event championship and probably the overall event championship as well, because Anton, as we know, is a contender.
Yeah.
But back up the front of the grid, Musyaffa Musyaffa there on your screens. Muiz bringing us up through the kink now, and that yellow car just looks so happy and stable at the front of the grid. You can see his lead. He's a whole kink away from the counter behind him, and Alessandro Andretti, of course, doing his best to close in. And we know Alessandro has broken into the 137s, and he's doing a 138 this lap, 3/10 faster than Muiz. But it's just not enough with only 3 laps left to go.
No, not enough, and you'll see the top 3 are quite well spaced out during the closing stages of this race.
So that looks like Anton Patti, then he must be back down into, is that P8 behind Luke Thompson? From P4 to P8 in one corner, it's terrible luck.
Yep.
But now Kane Shepherd coming out of turn 7, down the straight here. And Alessandro Andretti now, that looks like he's just coming out of turn 7 as well. And Musyaffa Musyaffa coming, is that turn 9B? Up into 10, yep. And you can see that that really illustrates how far behind Kane is at this point.
Yeah.
And the pace that Andretti has found this week, and that the Thai driver just hasn't quite managed to. But hopefully, as you said, Sandy, we're in Thailand next week. And sorry, not next week, I should say. It's the last weekend of October, and
I believe so.
We'll see what Kane can do there.
Yep, I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's also my home circuit, so traveling to Buriram is nice and convenient for myself, and probably also very convenient for Kane Shepherd.
And of course, we know last year when we were there, we had an amazing event. Ugo de Wild joined us for that event, and he helped bring out some amazing overtaking opportunities from all of the drivers. And my favorite was when he went. Well, we were 3 wide into the final corner of the final race on most laps. So my favorite is when Ugo de Wild leapfrogged. He was in P3 and he leapfrogged himself into P1 around turn 3.
Yeah. Oh, we saw some fantastic driving then, and it was great to have such a good driver like Ugo de Wild join us for that event. So I think we're seeing many stars of the future on our grid today.
Of course, and Meritus.gp, as you probably know, Sandy, is a storied hand at this. They've been in motorsport for 30 years. They've been in Asia for 25 plus years, something like that. And they've helped a lot of drivers like Narain Karthikeyan. Of course, Narain won here 20 years ago in Formula Asia 2000 and went on with Meritus.gp, I should say. And he went on to be India's first Formula 1 driver, and other drivers like Takuma Sato and Earl Bamber, who won the 24-hour Le Mans last year. All of these drivers, they get their start out in championships like F4 or Formula BMW and Asia Cup before that. And Meritus has been here through it all, trying to build a wealth of youth talent in the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there aren't many teams in the world that can boast this many fantastic drivers all over the world that have passed through their doors. So truly a testament to how well the team is run, how well this championship is run. And yeah, we're seeing this today.
But all of that is not really on Musyaffa Musyaffa's mind at the moment. He must be grinning from ear to ear as he brings us up into the end of Sector 1 and into Turn 4. And we know that Alessandro has found time here before, and he carries a lot of time through the kink, especially when he's got the extra slipstream bonus from the driver in front of him. But as we said, he's just too far behind, and we're actually on the last lap now. And Alessandro is still, he's 5 seconds behind. Of course, he's knocked off as much as he could possibly from the driver ahead of him. But as we said from the beginning, it was just he was too far behind at the start.
Yep, just a bit too far behind. So looks like either Musyaffa has turned down the heat a little bit, or Alessandro Gueretti has turned it up, because the gap is slightly smaller. But this being the last lap of the race, could very well be Muiz is just cruising his way to victory, making sure he's doing everything correctly, not to jinx it in any way, smoothly through turn 11, over the bridge and into the last corner for the last time this weekend.
And as we go through the last corner, turn 12, down onto the main straight, it's Musyaffa from Malaysia taking the checkered flag. Very, very happy young Malaysian driver there, already celebrating with his mechanics along the pit roll. Well, with that, really, we have reached an end to the race, and unfortunately, that means we've come to the end of Event 4 and our brief but exciting stay at the Madras Motor Racetrack. The team and drivers will be shipping out to Thailand soon enough, but before then, let's have a quick look back at the event and find out who's the event champion. Musyaffa attacked Alessandro Gueretti at the start, but the Frenchman moved across and closed the door going into turn 1 and led race 1 from there. A brilliant return to his winning streak from last week, and perhaps the start of a perfect weekend. But the real action was just behind the French driver, where Luke Thompson overtook Anton Potty at the start. Potty set the fastest lap in free practice and used his faster first sector to reel back in Thompson. And then the 2017 FIA Formula 4 Southeast Asia rookie champion, Kane Shepherd. Turn 4 is just past the sector 1 marker, and that's where Anton tried to take Kane around the outside, but the cars collided, and although Anton stayed within 2/10 until the end of the race, as the checker flag waved, it was Gueretti, Shepherd and Potty, first, second and third. Unfortunately, both Muiz and Anton were given 30-second jump start penalties, putting Anton in 5th and Luke Thompson in 3rd. Alistair Young had the race of his life in the second outing this weekend. The Malaysian driver of the yellow number 22 speed machine raced off the line from 3rd, danced past Rio and Anton, and succeeded in taking the lead before the second corner. Thompson made a move up on Rio into turn 4, and Alessandro followed him around. The faster French driver was right up behind him, and ultimately the two drivers collided mid-corner, gifting Luke's position to Kane Shepherd, who started to hunt down Anton Potty. Coming out of turn 8, Shepherd and Gueretti pounced on Anton, and Gueretti pulled ahead, gaining 2 positions and relegating Shepherd to 4th. Alistair had been driving flawlessly, but he hadn't had a chance to breathe with the Belgian driver just behind him, and now the man leading the 2018 championship. In the end, it came down to the checkered flag, where Alistair Young won his first F4 race, a 10th ahead of Gueretti and then Shepherd. Not to be outdone by his countryman, Musyaffa started race 3 from pole position, leading us through the first sector with his usual grace, while Kane Shepherd jumped into P2 coming out of turn 3, and Alessandro Gueretti got stuck behind the orange and pink cars of Rio and Cheatham. But Cheatham was pushed wide coming out of the kink before turn 4, allowing several cars past and giving Alessandro an opportunity to make his move on Rio Kamikado, soaring past the Japanese driver and ending up in a comfortable P3 by the 8th corner of the circuit. A battle ensued between the top 3 divers in the championship, the likes of which we haven't seen before at the Madras Motor Racetrack, and a fitting finale to the weekend's entertainment. Ultimately, Alessandro succeeded in finding a way past Kane, but with only 6 or 7 laps to go, he simply did not have enough time or energy to track down Muiz at the front of the pack. And as the checkered flag waved, it was Malaysia yet again in P1, followed by France and Thailand. But now the question, as always, is who walks away with the weekend honours? Well, Alessandro Gueretti took home the event champions trophy for the second time here at the Madras Motor Racetrack, just ahead of Thailand's Kane Shepherd. The driver scored 67 and 45 points respectively. On the second row of the grid, Alistair Young stood proud with 41 points and his maiden victory, alongside Belgium's Anton Potty, who scored 35 points and set the fastest lap in free practice. Muiz took 5th with 30 points, winning the final race of the weekend as always, alongside Rio Kamikado in P6 with 29 points, who also scored his first podium finish this weekend. Thompson and Aidan Wright took the 4th row, while newcomer and local favourite Chetan Karada rounded off the grid with 10 points. The Madras events might be over, but the championship is only half done, with 4 more events to go. We ship off to Buriram, Thailand next week and return to Sepang in Malaysia in November. So for me, Aaron Thompson, thank you very much for watching, and we hope to see you all again soon.